thinking about John Walker and the Falcon and Winter Soldier Bros Boy Club Fantasy Hour, the more I think about the fact that John Walker he makes no sense at all. And to be honest, when I first started thinking about this video, I had thought that I was going to name it John Walker Did Nothing Wrong. And then I thought about it and I realized that was a bad idea. Because John Walker does, in fact, do many things wrong. A lot of things wrong. But I still felt sorry for him by the end of the story. And I started thinking, why is that? And I thought maybe that there was something wrong with me, that maybe I'm this degenerate who was cheering for John Walker. But then I started thinking more and I realized that I feel sorry for him because the story and the themes of the Fantasy Boy Club Hour don't really make sense. And I'm going to try to break it down as much as I can, and I want to make it also clear to you that I love this show. However, when I'm criticizing it, I'm more so just criticizing the fact that the theme is like at each other's throat. It doesn't really make any sense. So, I have readied a list of things that we are going to discuss and try to understand John Walker a little better and maybe understand what the heck the show designers, the show directors, show storyboarders, whatever you want to call them, were thinking when it came to the theme of this. And my three main themes are going to be the Boys Club, two, the Super Excuse Serum, and three, the Theme Smashers. So talking about context, I'm talking more so when the show was released, and it was released in 2021. Now, it was originally supposed to be released in 2020. However, it was pushed back because I guess the original story had some like pandemic going on or a virus or something, and they just kind of decided that they didn't want that happening while COVID was also happening. So they did away with it, and I guess they gave us this story. I don't know how much they changed or how that affected the production, how that affected the themes that were going on. But I mean, that's there. Let's think about that as we go forward. Because it was pushed back, we have to also consider the fact that this took place after the protests of 2020, after the large Black Lives Matter protests. And so we really need to consider some of that as we go in. And that's the main reason why I can't get behind John Walker Did Nothing Wrong, because he is a representation of these forces. Um, but anyway, let's get on to our main points. Point number one, the Boys Club. So it is made very clear from the beginning that Bucky does not like John Walker. I've seen a couple videos actually pop up on YouTube that just say Bucky hates John Walker. Bucky hates next Captain America. And you know what? I'm going to show you one of those right
Wow.
now.
All right, well then we gotta work together.
That's not happening.
I think we stand a much better chance if we all just...
Just because you carry that shield, it doesn't mean you're Captain America.
Look, I've done the work, okay?
You ever jump on top of a grenade?
Yeah, actually I have 4 times.
It's made very clear Bucky hates this guy, that he does not want his help and he does not want to help him. But it's interesting because why? Why, aside from the fact that he is not Steve, does Bucky hate this guy? This guy did not decide to take the shield from Sam. Sam gave it up. Sure, he took it up and he could have said no, but I mean, who's going to say no to taking away Captain America's shield? I know a couple guys who spent $100 on a replica of Captain America's shield. I bet you they would have taken the shield too. I bring this up because it does make John a sympathetic character. We look at him and we say, wow, this guy is hated for no reason. At the same time, he's out here saying these really cool things in his speeches.
Liked that what I was doing would make people feel safe. Steve Rogers was the kind of guy who could do that.
I mean, look at that. Bucky's hating on him without any good reason. He's just not fit for the Boys Club. And it's heartbreaking because up to this point, we don't have a reason to dislike him. And in fact, all the reasons we have to dislike him, and there are plenty of reasons to dislike him, they don't come until after the fact. They come after the Boys Club has already told him no. So what it really seems like is that Bucky denying him and people just deciding that he's not a good Captain America and people maybe punking him on Instagram, that all of this is not his fault. really, I think that brings us down to the next thing, the super excuse serum. Now, the super soldier serum is really meant to amplify whatever somebody already has going on for them. So, for Steve Rogers, we know that it brings out the best in him. It brings makes him a better character, makes him a better hero. The fact that, well, you know what? Let's hear from the man himself.
But more important, the men. The serum amplifies everything that is inside. So good becomes great. Bad becomes worse.
So, now we see something. We see that if this serum, all it does is amplify you, then what John Walker does is just the result of the serum. As we see John commit this terrible, violent act of brutality, and it is likened to police brutality. He is killing a man of color in a street while people are looking at him with cameras. A lot of people have said that this is a representation of what America really is. And I think that that's a valid statement, but it gets complicated when we look at him later on. He is, in fact, avenging his black friend, his friend who later on he will say, "You think Lamar's life did not matter?" And it's clearly an allusion to Black Lives Matter again. It's this weird thing where he represents both the oppressive force and he's also meant to represent a force of redemption, a force of vengeance. I don't know. And the more I think about it, it's not really John Walker's fault. I think that if this was depicted as a pure accident, it would be one thing. And I think that we could probably get away with that. But that's not what it is. It's not what it is at all. Which brings us to our third point, and that is the theme smashers. So let's talk about the Flash Smashers because they're really confusing. You see, they were supposed to be this anarchist group who still clung to how life was before the second snapping, whatever they're calling it again. And really, they're a cool group. They're brought up as like this force for good. That is, of course, until Carly ruins everything. And you're left thinking,
There were still people in there.
because in fact, as she blows up this building,
There were still people
and
in
like,
there.
because up until now she's been depicted as good and for the people. Me myself, I'm left wondering, yo, Carly, why did you do that? Why did you do that, Carly?
This is the only language these people understand.
Oh, I see. I guess that makes some sense. I mean, except it really doesn't. Carly is at odds with her own theme. I'm not really sure why she does that. I don't think anybody is. The only thing that I can think of is that Disney was saying, "Oh, you know what? You're kind of making the anarchists a little too likable. Why don't you have them blow up some innocents and maybe that'll clear things up and everybody will know that they're the bad guys." And that's just not, it just doesn't work. What ends up happening is John Walker becomes more sympathetic. And like then there's also later on this scene where John Walker in full vengeance mode looking like this uh Dollar General Captain America. He comes in with his Dollar General shield and is like, "All right, guys, I'm gonna come fight you guys." And you think that he's gonna be violent. You think he's gonna come in as antagonist, and you're like, "Okay, I see what's happening here. John Walker's about to do some crazy stuff." But no, not at all. John Walker is still the hero. John Walker manages to save the day, and despite the fact that he is synonymous with the police officer killing a unarmed man in the streets who's begging for his life, John Walker comes out the hero. What is up with that? I'm not really sure why that is. But it does lead us to be confused. What is John Walker? What is his theme? What is his purpose? I don't know, and I don't think that Marvel knows either. I definitely don't think the showrunners know, and I think that it's a little problematic that we're left without an idea of who he is or what he's supposed to represent. And I think that's really the problem with the show. There's so many themes, so many characters, so many like allegories that we don't know. We don't know who's what and what they're representing, who's the good guy. And I mean, maybe you could make the argument that everything's a shade of gray and that's just fine and all, except that the way the show ends, I don't know if they were headed for that. Well, in any case, go ahead, like, subscribe, make sure you leave a comment and tell me what you think.